Hello there, I'm Ruben. Welcome to this week's Samplecast. Thanks again to everybody who's been in touch with us over the week. I've made contact with a few new developers and there's been lots of chat on Facebook and on Twitter as well about the Samplecast, so thank you very much for that. There's a huge show this week. We've got lots to fit in as usual, so I'm going to start with this week's roundup. First off, a really new, interesting concept from the guys behind Samplephonics. Now, this is a yearly subscription model for access to unlimited samples from their collection. So the total amount of samples is over $10,000 worth. You get 130,000 sounds and loops, and this is all under the banner of their new website, which is called Noiiz, Noiiz. Currently, the subscription model is $89 per year, and that is the same price that you'll get for life, but you've got to jump on that quick because this will be rising up to $199 in a few days. So basically this is how it works. You can either subscribe yearly for life at those prices that I mentioned. There are monthly plans available, and what you do is you download the Noiiz plugin for your DAW, and here you can audition the sounds in the key of your track and sync to the BPM of your track as well, and you can download as much as you want during your subscription time, and you can keep all of those samples. You don't need to give the samples back or delete them after the subscription has expired. So this is an interesting and very bold idea from the guys behind Samplephonics, and at the moment it's limited to Mac, but there will be a Windows version of the plugin coming very soon, and also they're having some problems with Pro Tools compatibility at the moment. I gather that'll be fixed up very soon too. So if you're keen on this concept, I'd be certainly interested to hear your thoughts on it. Jump on it early, you'll get that early pricing, and I'll be watching this business model very keenly to see if it works out for the guys, because it's a very interesting approach. Back to standard sample libraries now, and this one, Drums of Sparta from Loopmasters. This is a high impact cinematic drum loops library, and it's been created by composer Russ Harris. You've got here nearly 2 gigabytes of content with 432 loops at various different tempos. These drums are taikos, toms, frame drums, and lots of other ones as well. There's some really interesting patterns here, some kind of lopsided and off-kilter ones which are a bit unusual. I've had a listen to the pack, and these loops all sound a little bit dry to me. They could definitely do with some reverb in your DAW, but some people will prefer the dry option, obviously for dance and hip-hop, that sort of thing. Check it out at the description below at the Loopmasters site. This next sample library is Vesper from Audiofier. It's a new instrument running in the full version of Contact, where the focus is bells, chimes, and kind of twinkly sounds, sparkly sort of top end, that kind of thing. There's over 3 gigabytes of samples here and 135 different sound sources which can be loaded into 2 different slots in the interface, and then sequencing and effects can be applied. You can even reverse the sounds as well. There's a randomizer function for quickly creating new sounds, and this package is due for release any day now, so keep an eye on the Audiofier site for further details. 2 big bargains this week in the show. The first is VI Labs True Keys pianos. This is available through Audio Plugin Deals for the next 2 weeks only, and it's a collection of 3 concert grand pianos. So you've got here Steinway D, a Fazioli F308, and a Bechstein Semi Concert Grand, which is a smaller piano. In total, you've got over 50,000 samples here, which have been recorded with high-end mics and preamps, and the engine has sympathetic resonance, pedal modelling, and lots of other options as well. Be aware that this runs in the UVI workstation and is 3 separate instruments, and it's only available for this price until the 8th of February 2017. It was $349, now there's 70% off at just $99. A new deal from VST Buzz. This is the Morpheus by Xclusive-Audio. It runs in the full version of Contact. You've got 9 gigabytes of cinematic, EDM and dance music sounds here. There's 350 playable multi-sampled instruments, so you've got pads, keys, strings, there's basses there, drones and lots of other ones as well. The engine has onboard filters, FX and scripted glide controls. And if you're not sure about the library, or if you're not positive it's for you, you can check out the demo. Just go to the VST Buzz page, click on the link in the description below, and then click on the demo link. This will give you a limited version of the library where you can try out the sounds for yourself. It's currently 70% off at €19.99. Both of this week's reviews are from Impact Soundworks, and the first is Mega Brass. Now this runs in at $49, or you actually get it free with any Impact Soundworks purchase over $99. It runs in the full version of Contact. You've got 3 articulations here: sustain, marcato and staccato, and these are controllable by either key switch or velocity. In the interface you can dial in up to 9 different synth sounds simultaneously, and these can be mixed in with the brass sounds to create some huge kind of farty big brass noises. You can also adjust the ADSR, transposing, volume and fine-tuning of the brass and synth elements. There's also an effects page for adding delay, saturation and lots of other effects. So when it comes to this library, and when I tested it out, I found the sound was huge, especially when you start adding additional octaves, which are easy to dial in within the interface itself. Also, I enjoyed using the central hype knob to punish the sound and make it even fatter and more aggressive. The core brass and synth sounds are good, and I can imagine myself using this for hard-hitting trailer pieces. What I will say about this library is that Mega Brass is an interesting idea, but essentially there's nothing really new here. It's just brass and synth mixed together, even though these sounds are good themselves. This is going to be an auxiliary library for most people, for those who already have their brass template sorted and just need a tool for adding extra power. In conclusion, although Mega Brass is undoubtedly a time saver for creating big brass Brahms, there's nothing here that can't be done with a brass patch and some synth programming, so it's not really an essential purchase. However, given that it can be added for free with any order over $99 via Impact Soundworks, you'd pretty much be a fool not to add it to your arsenal if you're given the chance. There's a couple of updates this week on products which I've featured in the Samplecast before. The first is from Spectrasonics and it's Keyscape Creative. Now this is a brand new set of patches for Keyscape and Omnisphere 2 users. There's 1,268 new patches here, which is a huge amount, and they're giving them away for free. All you have to do here is go onto your Spectrasonics user page or update via the Keyscape or Omnisphere plugins, and you'll be able to find this collection of sounds. The sounds here are really varied, from playable keyboards to arpeggios, pads, hits and transitions too. So you just need to update. For me that meant about 6 different downloads because I hadn't updated since version 1, but these are really small downloads, they're pretty easy to install, and once you've done that you'll get a huge pack of really inspiring sounds. Whilst you're on the Spectrasonics site, do check out their video from NAMM, where the one and only Stevie Wonder has been playing with Keyscape and showcasing some of the sounds. It is a fantastic video from an absolute legend. I had a few problems with Berlin Brass when I reviewed it for Samplecast number 30, including some dodgy loop points that I spotted and some funny sounding crossfades and other little niggles as well. At the time I did note in the review that I hoped that future updates would fix these issues, and lo and behold, Orchestral tools have done just that. Existing owners of Berlin Brass should have received their updates by email already, and new users who are looking into Berlin Brass for the first time, you can pretty much disregard what I said about the loop points and such like within my original review, because a lot of these have been cleaned up and they now sound pretty perfect. This is the section of the show for free sounds, samples and plugins, so if you've got your ears to the ground and know of any that I need to know about, then please do contact us in the usual ways at the Samplecast. This particular pack is by Jasper Blanc, and this is a brass library called Angry Brass. I read about this on Facebook a few weeks ago, and to be honest I had a hard time finding the thread, so I've only just managed to find it and bring it to you now, so I'm really pleased about that. This is a brass library just with sustains, but everything has been played at FFF, it's full volume, You've got 3 patches here: horn ensemble, trumpet ensemble and trombone ensemble, and these samples are really great for layering with other libraries. Jasper's also got another nice freebie, which is a strings library on his page. Check the link in the description below, that'll take you to both libraries. That strings library has some excellent violin and ensemble patches. So I want to say a big thank you to Jasper for sharing his goodies with us. So here we're looking at Tin Whistle from Impact Soundworks, and it's part of their Ventus Ethnic Winds collection. This is our second Impact Soundworks review this week, and this is a totally different flavour to Mega Brass. It's a very comprehensive tin whistle library running in at 6 GB in total, and it includes playable patches with 16 different playing techniques and ornaments. It also includes 450 samples of pre-recorded songs and phrases, and there's several different patches for the full version of Contact. The interface features an FX page with EQ, compression, delay and reverb, and you also get WAV versions of the phrases supplied with your download packages as well. You can just drag and drop these into your DAW if you prefer. The comprehensive interface here has a page to assign key switches, and there's an advanced page where you can adjust many options under the hood and even record and playback ornaments in a certain order. So first off, I want to say I'm a really big fan of folk instruments. My parents brought me up on a lot of folk music, and this tin whistle library sounds just lovely. It's recorded very dry in the close mics, and also the room mics are pretty dry as well, and this gives you a versatile sound. You can add reverb at a later date. You can also adjust the width of the microphone positions. The ornament system is pretty comprehensive with an adjustable dial for adding grace notes, and you can also change the probability that other different types of ornaments will play automatically, including attacks and releases, and these will play on the fly as you just noodle around with the instruments. I also love the different vibrato options. There's many different types here. You can control with a MIDI controller, with your expression pedal, and also aftertouch as well, which I do enjoy using, and I don't think enough libraries make use of this. So for me, this library was very easy to play, with a little bit of investigating under the hood to make sure I knew what I was doing with the ornaments, but I can envision some people getting a bit confused about all the options for these ornaments, especially how the key switches, the probability options and the recording system relate to one another. Having said that, the default patches are very good as a starting point, and maybe you won't need to make any of those adjustments. Impact Soundworks Tin Whistle is $99, so some might consider that a little bit pricey for a library that's just one tin whistle. However, the versatility of this instrument and realism of the vibrato and ornaments mean it's incredibly usable and really, really versatile. Once you get to grips with how it works, this is probably the only tin whistle library you'll ever need. It's definitely recommended by me. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Samplecast. As usual, you can communicate with us via Facebook, via email, via Twitter. You can send me a message personally on Twitter as well if you fancy bugging me. I really don't mind. It's lovely to hear from you guys out there. If you're listening to the podcast, please don't forget to review and rate us on iTunes if you can. Thanks so much again for watching, and I'll see you next week.